Hello, my name is Sophie Masson, and first of all I'd like to thank very much the Sydney School of Arts and the Thomas Keneally Library for this opportunity to speak about my work. It's wonderful to hear of it, that it's been going for so long and hopefully many more years. So let me tell you a little bit about my work and my career and how I came to write historical fiction in particular. I come from a French background. I came to Australia when I was 5 and I didn't speak English at that time, and my parents were here for work. So they didn't emigrate. We used to go back to France fairly often. So I was brought up between the two cultures. We weren't allowed to speak English at home. We spoke French, etc. My father's always been very interested in history, and he had lots of historical books, and he took us on lots of trips to historical places in Australia and in France. So that's how I became interested in history, and for me history was very much alive. So anyway, eventually I became a writer. I always loved writing as a child, and that's what I always wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to actually get there. A lot of work, a lot of hard persistence, but I got there. And so today I really want to talk to you a little bit about a book that really combines my two cultures, French and Australian. This is a book called 1914, and it's a book set obviously during the first year of the First World War. And it's about a boy called Louis, whose father is a diplomat. He's a French diplomat. His mother is Australian. So he's been to Australia. He knows what it's like. He has an older brother called Thomas, and they both love writing and photography. And one day they go on a holiday. So his father's based in Vienna. They go on a holiday to Sarajevo. And anyway, what happens is they witness the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And then what happens after that to Louis as he gets dragged into more and more things is very much a part of it. So it's very much a part of reporting the war as well, of how people saw it at the beginning, how they hoped it would be over soon. And the interesting thing about it too is that very recently I've just finished another book called War and Resistance, which is set in the very early part of World War II, and it takes this character Louis as he's the father of the girl who is the main character in that one. So that's been really interesting also, carrying that character further. My publisher loved the character of Louis and said, "Oh, we'd like you to do another one." So that's that book, and it's very much about that incredibly important experience of World War, which formed Europe so much. Some of my other historical novels are here. I have a fascination for Ned Kelly, the bush ranger, and so I've written 2 books about him. I've also interested in all sorts of other historical things. So I've written stuff about the 12th century. I've written stuff about the 17th century, Shakespeare's time. I think history is really important, because then if we don't forget the past, we actually hopefully don't repeat its mistakes as well. Now, as a writer, as a young writer, when I was starting out, I was very much, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any contacts. I didn't know anyone at all in the business. So what I had to do was to work really hard at my craft. Now, as I was writing all the way through school constantly, I also read an awful lot. Reading is really important, because it actually teaches you, without you even knowing it, how to form a story. The other thing that's important is, remember, don't feel discouraged about rejection. Everyone gets rejected. And even when you're an established writer, you still sometimes get rejected. Not all my projects go through. The thing is, you've got to believe in what you're doing. You've got to stand firm with it, but you've also got to be flexible and to think, okay, that doesn't work if I do it that way. How about I try a different angle on it? How about I see things from a different way? And sometimes a project just doesn't happen. That's okay. Put it to one side, try something different, try something new, and who knows, maybe some years down the track that other project will get up. So it's really about being persistent. It's about believing in yourself, but being flexible. It's about treating other people properly. So the publishers aren't there to be your servant. They're there to help you do the best possible work you can. But don't feel rejected and discouraged if you get rejections, because that's the way all of us start, and that's the way all of us continue, in fact. it really is about keeping your dream alive and wanting to follow it through to the end.